Charles planning a royal summit with not only Catherine and William to discuss the future of the monarchy, but Prince Harry as well? Hello everyone, welcome to Royal News Network. My name is Brittany, and today we are talking about just a cavalcade of royal news. I feel like this week, because royal kids are starting to go back to school, we're starting to see more and more royals come out and various stories surrounding like the World Cup. We have a visit of the Ukrainian president. So many royal stories going on. So we're going to break down a lot of these today. But our main focus will be King Charles and apparently the upcoming summit he's planning with Catherine and William and obviously Camilla as well. This will go over the future of the monarchy. Where is the kingdom going? How are they going to navigate the future of the Commonwealth? Apparently those are all pieces of discussion. However, I think the true thing that the royal family needs to figure out at this point is how to deal with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, because apparently Harry and Meghan floated it out there that he and Charles were going to have some sort of one-on-one meeting after this summit. Well, that definitely doesn't appear to be the case because allegedly Charles is going to finish his France tour in September, but still raises a lot of interesting questions about the role Harry and Meghan play in the future. And I think how the monarchy is dealing with it, because sometimes I think, yes, the silent treatment is the best option. And yet, at the other times I'm like, you guys really need to figure out how to allow Harry and Meghan to have their peace and yet make sure they're not pulling you down with them. Because unfortunately what happens too, although Harry and Meghan I think elevate the royals because they look so much better in comparison, but they also pull them down at the same time and I think damage the future reputation of the monarchy in many ways. So we are going to talk about all of this today, but if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network, my name is Brittany and I provide compelling royal commentary about the latest news and sometimes discuss a little bit of the drama behind the scenes. If you guys want to subscribe, that would be great. I also have a weekly newsletter, a fashion channel, which tomorrow we will debut the Belgian royal tiara video. I started that one last week. It just got so incredibly long. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to shelve it this week. And next week, I'll probably be utilizing that week to really prep for my upcoming trip to Europe. So you may see a few fewer videos, but we shall see how the week goes next week. And I also have memberships. So even though I may slow things down just a smidge next week in preparation for September, if you are a member, I do have a live stream we'll be doing that week in addition to a special video. So if you guys are interested in the memberships, you will find a link to that down below. But without further ado, let's go over all this royal news because there's so much royal news. Okay, so the first thing we have is apparently that Charles is convening this council of royals, you could say, with his wife Camilla and obviously William and Catherine, who are the future of the monarchy. They are currently the youngest working members of the royal family, and it's really them and their children that the future of the entire institution rests on. Because unfortunately for them, Harry and Meghan, although I don't want Harry and Meghan in the monarchy, Harry and Meghan would have been fantastic allies for Catherine and William, and a way for some of the burden to be shared between them. Unfortunately, Harry and Meghan just wanted to go their own pathway. So they are doing that to the detriment of everybody else, and to the detriment, mostly though, of themselves. So when it comes to this summit, Charles is looking at a couple of things. One of the things he really wants to do is figure out how to capitalize on the star power of Catherine and William. We obviously had the poll that came out earlier this year showing that Prince William, in terms of 15 newsmakers that were polled, what basically came out the highest, 59% of people found him favorable. And that is a staggering statistic. He actually won and did better than a lot of the people down below, including a lot of heavy hitter American politicians, because this was a poll done of Americans. And of course, Prince William ranked better. His father was a little bit below him. And obviously Catherine too obviously has this immense star power. So how does the monarchy capitalize on this? There's several different ways they can do it, but I think one of the best things they can do is try to get Catherine and William out more and more, and especially with their children. I know that's really hard because some people are like, don't expose the kids too much too soon. But as we'll see later in this video, other royal families managed to do that pretty well. And I think Catherine and William can maybe do it just a smidge more to capitalize on this family in the future. And then obviously doing more engagements abroad. I'd love to see Catherine and William maybe do like a European, like a little mini European tour once a year. Catherine did obviously her visit to Denmark in 2022. We also have Catherine having gone to the Netherlands, and I want to say it was like 2015, 2016 for like 24 hours. It'd be great to actually see them do that perhaps a bit more to help them connect with some of their counterparts. It would be great, like little quick one-day foreign tours there, getting some more information either about early years or Earthshot, because a lot of the other royals have interest in conservation and climate change as well. Princess Victoria has done some things on that. You have the Norwegians as well. So there's a lot of interest, I feel like, in that sphere within royal circles. So they could definitely figure out how to do that. So that'd be something really amazing to see, especially as we have younger royals coming to the forefront. So that's Catherine Amalia in the Netherlands, Princess Elizabeth, Duchess of Brabant in Belgium. We also have Prince Christian in Denmark, who's becoming of age. We have Princess Ingrid Alexandra, Princess Leonor. So we have so many royals who are turning 18, are on the cusp of 18, and really entering this royal life. So it'd just be rather fun, I think, for Catherine and William to do just quick little jaunts to get to know some of these younger royals and to continue on their endeavors as well. So we will see how that goes about. But apparently Charles's biggest focus will be the Commonwealth. And this I find somewhat interesting because obviously Catherine and William last year, and this was not their fault. This was not their fault at all. It was certain people in the media, mostly led by Omid Scobie, who somehow made the fence around a football pitch, because, you know, a lot of stadiums in different games, there are fences around them, right? That there were pictures of people trying to shake Catherine and William's hands through the fences. And somehow they translated this natural thing of having a fence around a soccer field into some sort of political commentary on slavery, which it was not. And then you have the Jamaican president basically going to your faces going, we want to get rid of you as soon as we can. And Catherine and William are just, that's awesome. Thanks for inviting us. And then it's funny too, I think it was the Jamaican prime minister as well going, well, they're always welcome back. And I'm like, well, fat chance of that if you guys leave the Commonwealth. So I will say, although I think the tour was planned exceptionally well, there were certain bad actors that flipped that into something extremely negative. And it was something that Catherine and William definitely in that situation could not have controlled. And I feel like we've seen a couple other PR blunders from the palace within this last year. And I think the challenge there is how do they navigate this and especially reach out to the Commonwealth where there is this history of colonialism, and yet there is also this movement to try to disparage those whose ancestors, not themselves, their ancestors who are long dead, had some impact on that. And so how do the royals navigate that? Because Charles really wants the Commonwealth to be the future. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how that manifests, because they have yet to do a royal tour of any Commonwealth states at this point. William will actually be the first to visit a Commonwealth state for the Earthshot Prize in Singapore. It is part of the Commonwealth, so that'll be the first time a royal does that so far this year. Charles is going with Camilla to Kenya, so maybe actually Charles and Camilla going to Kenya in maybe October. I don't think we have set dates for that. And William and Catherine obviously going to Singapore in November. Maybe even the Wales as kids too. Wouldn't that be fun? We shall see. So that is how things are shaping out so far this year. And when it comes to royal tours, we have a couple of them we know for sure. Obviously, I mentioned Catherine and William going to Singapore for the Earthshot Prize. We also have Charles and Camilla going to Kenya. And this is a rather big deal because Her Majesty the Queen got the news, so Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth got the news that her father had died in Kenya. And so that'll be a very poignant moment. I'm sure they'll go to the tree house where the couple, so this is Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were at the time, just to reminisce and remember this great legacy that they had. And so this will be an opportunity too, because Charles and Camilla were able to not sidestep, I don't want to say it that way, but they didn't end up going to the Caribbean. They didn't have to deal with the negative reaction to the anti-monarchy movement. So it'll be interesting to see how that manifests in Kenya, because obviously they're part of the Commonwealth. There's a colonial aspect to it too, because that could be indicative of what they may face going forward. Because in addition to Catherine and William going to Belize, Jamaica, and the Bahamas, we also had Sophie and Edward who went to some of the smaller Caribbean islands, where they also faced questions of, well, why is the Queen head of state? When are reparations coming? I think Edward and Sophie were asked directly, are you guys going to look into reparations? And they're like, I don't know. I mean, that's just, I think, a terrible pressure to put on somebody who really has no political control over that situation whatsoever. And so Charles and Camilla may face something similar going to Kenya. It remains to be seen. And then we also have Charles's visit to France, Charles and Camilla. So they were going to have a state visit there in March, but now apparently that's been moved to September, and the date that's being floated around is September 20th. And I'm having a hard time because September 19th, I'll be in the Netherlands for Prince's Day to get pictures of the royal family there. And so then there I'm like, do I want to scoot over to France to get pictures of Charles and Camilla there, then hop over to England, then hop back? I don't know because I have tickets to go to the coronation exhibit. And I technically ordered 2 tickets because I had to get another pair of tickets because my original date changed. And then I also have tickets to climb the tower at Windsor Castle, and I do kind of want to do that. So we shall see what things look like. I think my tickets to the coronation exhibit, I think, are on the 21st. I can't quite remember. So we shall see how all of that comes together, because that could just be a little too much hopping. I'm already hopping quite a lot because obviously in September as well, we have King Carl Gustaf's Golden Jubilee in Sweden, and I will be there for the festivities. I've submitted my press credential request, so we shall see where that goes. But Charles and Camilla will finally fulfill their France trip in September apparently, so it remains to be seen exactly what dates, but September 20th I've seen been floated on several websites. And so given all this that Charles and Camilla and Catherine and William are doing, what do they need on the side causing more problems? Why, it's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Because apparently Harry floated the idea, or somebody within Harry and Meghan's camp floated the idea that he and Charles and William were going to have some sort of meeting on September 17th, right after the end of the Invictus Games. And I remember seeing that and going, I don't think so. And apparently the Daily Beast has debunked that. And while I'm not a total Daily Beast aficionado, I think the report rings true, because if Charles is going to France a couple of days later, I don't think he really wants perhaps an emotional meeting with his son. And the other problem with the idea of this meeting is, what are they going to talk about? Seriously, what are they going to talk about? Harry's aired his grievances numerous times. The royal family has pushed back on his grievances numerous times, infinitely amount of times. I think privately, not really publicly much, but I think their silence speaks volumes. You can't really add anything if you stay quiet. And Harry doesn't really have any leverage here. He has nothing to offer the royal family to come to the table to meet with him. This is what was interesting about Harry's whole book tour, is that he thought, if I tell my family my story for the 12,000th time, they will drop everything, see me as this poor victim I see myself, and they'll come to the meeting and they'll give me and my wife everything I want. And that just was never going to happen. And so Harry's in this weird malaise, I think, where he thinks that if he talks more, if he explains more, they'll come meet him. But the royal family's not doing that. And Harry doesn't have any leverage even to get them to come to the table. Because at this point, the royal family's like, I don't have any desire to come and meet with you. You're just going to cause problems. You twist our words. Why would we have a meeting with you? And that's why I think in this instance, a meeting between them just makes utterly and completely no sense at this point. And I have said many, many times, and I'll continue to say, Harry can rebuild the relationship with his family, but 2 things have to happen. Number 1, Meghan Markle can't be in the picture as his wife. I'm sorry, but she can't. I don't think they can trust her as far as they can throw her, and I don't think they would trust her to be anywhere into any intimate spaces within the monarchy in terms of confidences and those sorts of things. So if Meghan's there, Harry can't be. And number 2 is that Harry needs to issue or offer a groveling apology, acknowledge his mistakes. Because I think the thing that at least galls me in a lot of ways is that Harry keeps going on and on about how he was the aggrieved party here, that everything that happened was not because of him. It was because of all these outside forces, and the family didn't agree with him, and all these sorts of things. And it's like, you can't acknowledge the single thing you did wrong here. And if you can't acknowledge things you did wrong, how can I reconcile with you if you haven't even acknowledged your fault and your failure in this situation? And that just comes from personal growth. I'm actually thinking of something Christian here regarding forgiveness of sins. You have to acknowledge your sins. So it's all part of this that Harry has to do, I think, to start rebuilding those relationships. Because if he comes back and they basically accept everything he said at face value, don't push against it at all, they're just feeding his delusions and they're feeding his narcissism, his beliefs that are just simply not true. There's so much about that just simply Oprah Winfrey interview that's just categorically false. It's just completely made up or made to make the royal family look bad. And Prince Harry at this point just can't acknowledge that, or just doesn't even realize how wrong he is. So the royal family cannot begin to rebuild these bridges until Harry acknowledges his fault in this situation. Yes, I think there are faults on both sides. People on both sides of the situation can't have done wrong. Yes, Harry and Meghan's is about here and the royal family's is about here, but still, Harry has to acknowledge somehow that yes, he did something that fueled the collapse of his relationship with his family. Until he does that, I don't think the royal family should give him the time of day, to be frank. And that's just because I don't think it's healthy for them either. I don't think it's healthy for Harry. And so this is a very, very caustic situation, but one the royal family has to navigate. And I also want to go back to the idea that the royal family, their greatest problem right now are Harry and Meghan. And they just can't seem to figure out what to do with them. And I get it. Here's a couple of the options. Well, we can strip them of their titles. Well, then Meghan will technically be Princess Harry, and you know everybody in the media will start calling her Princess Meghan, even though that's not true. And we can't stop that, and we don't know how to react to that. Totally get that. But I also get the fact that if you are from Sussex and they are supposedly represent you and Meghan Markle can't pick out a Sussex on a map or tell you 5 things about it, that would really irritate me. That would personally really irritate me, that this person who supposedly represents this duchy that technically to a certain extent no longer exists, but that represents this place called Sussex and can't tell you anything about Sussex, yet blathers on and on about how everybody must call her the Duchess of Sussex. It's just ridiculous. I was reading something recently talking about how Harry and Meghan, they did really want to go on this on their own. I think it was a quote from Ingrid Stewart and something to the effect of that they do want to go. Let me pull up the quote. So this is a quote from Ingrid Stewart, and I was like, yeah, you really don't get the problem with Harry and Meghan, do you? She said, the Queen gave them the titles. Let them keep them. They're going to be H&M anyways. I'm like, no, they're not. All they've done is blabber on and on and on about how they are the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They still want to have that royal role. And that's a huge problem the royals have yet to navigate, is how you acknowledge Harry and Meghan as members of the family and yet separate them from the monarchy brand itself. So we talked about stripping the titles. Another option is to amend the letters of patent to strip Archie and Lilibet of their prince and princess titles. They don't need them at this point. They're not in the UK. They'll have American accents. For them to have a prince and princess title, I'm sorry, it's just stupid. It's just utterly stupid at this point for them to have a prince and princess titles. And then, another option is to really make it clear that Harry and Meghan will have no further invite to family events, but that makes the royal family look kind of cruel. So I get it. There's no easy answer here. But I think the big problem is that people, especially in the United States, don't understand the difference between royalty and celebrity. Harry and Meghan have mixed them and continue to mix them. And I think even though Harry and Meghan's behavior makes the royal family look so much greater, at the same time, it's kind of going like this at the same time. To a certain extent, because Harry and Meghan make people think that royals are celebrities, that they can do whatever they want, that they take advantage of the titles and stuff like that, those things translate to other royals as well. So the royalty as a brand, the British monarchy as a brand, must figure out how to separate the chaos of Harry and Meghan from the stability of the monarchy. Because if they don't, I worry that in the future, this confusion, this melding of celebrity and royalty will have catastrophic results at some point, and something that the royals can't walk back. So they really do need to figure out how to deal with this. And I understand that was hard when the Queen was alive. She wanted Harry and Meghan to come back, but Meghan Markle cannot play second fiddle to anyone. So they will never be back as long as Meghan's in the picture. If Harry leaves her or if she divorces him and he comes back, I think there's an avenue for him to come back with a lot of groveling. A lot of groveling. But Meghan with him, not so much. And again, how are the royals going to navigate this for the future? I think that's a very interesting question to consider, and one that I don't think has been fully explored by the royals themselves yet. I think to a certain extent, because we saw this a little bit, that this passive reaction to the World Cup thing, and as a result, everything sort of spun out of control. I feel like the royals still have this very passive reaction to Harry and Meghan. They're just hoping beyond hope that eventually they stop what they're doing. But I don't think Meghan Markle can stop because, number one, she's on a vendetta. Number two, she has no talent. So she has to constantly harp on the royals because she has nothing else. And three, they still want to be royal. They want to be seen as royal. They want to be treated as royalty. And because the royal family hasn't done enough, I think, to separate the two, people still are in this weird thing where they kind of want to treat them like royalty, yet are not sure, but they kind of do. And so I think that confusion on the international stage, once again, it hurts the royals. It sometimes helps Harry and Meghan, but really at the end of the day, hurts the royals. So how do they manage the Harry and Meghan problem? I think that should be one of the biggest focuses of this summit. So guys, on to some other royal news. I'm taking a bit of a risk here doing this at the end because some people don't follow the other royals quite as much. So we do have Crown Princess Victoria. Her two children, Prince Oscar and Princess Estelle, have just gone back to school. So the Swedish royal court shared a couple of fun pictures of the kids during the summer holidays. And today was a really exciting day because the kids got to come with their mother to greet the bronze medalists of the World Cup. So yes, this is Sweden's soccer team. So they got to go in, they got to meet the royal family and the royal dog. So yes, the dog enjoyed meeting some of the people, which I thought was super, super cute. So watch a little bit of this here.
Ja, vi måste ännu tajtare, så kom ännu mer in.
So I just thought that was great to have that moment, especially with the dog handy as well. I think that was just a really nice, relaxing piece. I can't imagine, because the dog's kind of little. My dog's kind of little. She's looking at me right now because I think she knows I'm talking about dogs. And I just think, I was like, oh, my little dog, they know to go outside, yet they don't always want to go outside to do their business. And if I was living in a castle or a palace or whatever, I'd be so worried. I'm like, my dog is going to mess on the floor and I can't stop it. Or what if somebody lets my dog out? That would be really hard. So that was really exciting. And obviously as well, they're gearing up for King Carl Gustaf's Golden Jubilee, which will be in mid-September. I will be there in Sweden, like I said, submitted press credentials, fingers crossed, prayers that maybe that happens. And so they have done a concert in celebration of his Golden Jubilee, and he's been traveling around the country celebrating. So that's super exciting in the lead up to that for him. He became king quite young because sadly his father passed away, I believe in a plane accident. And so he came to the throne as soon as his grandfather died. So he's been reigning for 50 years and he's in his 70s now. And so he just came to the throne quite young, and so did Queen Marguerite of Denmark. And so it's exciting to see him be able to celebrate this monumentous achievement. And we've also gotten an announcement that Princess Madeline and her family are back in Florida, but she and her husband Chris will be traveling back to Sweden for the King's Golden Jubilee. I'm hoping the kids go as well, because it would be really cool to see the kids. I know it would disrupt school and everything, but I mean, there's only once in your lifetime that your grandfather celebrates his Golden Jubilee. So come on, Madeline and Chris, bring the kids. It would just be fun to see the kids. But I also understand school, don't want to disrupt school, everything. So we shall see. But I feel like that's like one of those things where it's like, I'm a princess and my dad is celebrating his Golden Jubilee. Shouldn't I get out of school for that? I would think so. I think so. I'm all there for that. And so over to their Scandinavian relatives, we have Crown Princess Mary yesterday greeted the Ukrainian president and his wife as they arrived in the country. And then today, Crown Prince Frederik joined them along with Queen Margrethe II of Denmark. And they showed him around the Knights Hall over there in Copenhagen. And so it was just really fun to see them out and about, knowing that they're starting to ramp up. We saw Crown Princess Mary a couple of times last week and we saw her again. And she's wearing one of my favorite dresses, which is, I believe it's a Prada dress, this Prada polka dot dress with the gold buttons. I really love that dress, and I like the outfit that she wore to greet the Ukrainian president and his wife as well. The Ukrainian president was also recently in Sweden doing a little bit of a tour. Then we also have the birthday celebration of Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway. If you missed it, I have a whole video explaining the Norwegian royals or 10 things about them. And Crown Princess Mette-Marit, she married her husband 22 years ago this year on August 25th. They have 2 children, and she actually has another child from a different relationship. So she was a single mom when she married Hakan, and so she was able to celebrate her 50th birthday. He celebrated his 50th birthday last month, and so they'll have a bigger celebration on their anniversary. So that's the 25th. I was actually planning on going to Norway to see that, but things didn't work out, and I'm sort of okay with it, although I am very, very excited to go to Norway someday. All right, and so on over to Spain. Queen Letizia traveled down to Australia to cheer on the Spanish team to World Cup victory with her daughter, Sofia. And so there was a great moment where apparently, as somebody described it to me on Twitter, there's kind of a thing in Spain where it's, if you're in a, not really a meeting, but if you're at an event and everybody's super excited and they have somebody sort of a prominence, they'll try to see if they can get that person to jump with them. And so they were able to get Queen Letizia to jump and celebrate with them. So go ahead and take a watch here. All right, and I also loved it that the whole team started chanting Sofia's name. So go ahead and take a listen to this little bit here. So I really love that for Sofia, because obviously she is the second child. She is Infanta Sofia. Her sister is the Princess of Asturias, Leonor. Leonor is currently in military training, although I'm sure she would have loved to be there. But for spares, sometimes it's sort of hard because, yes, you don't have to do all the things that the heir has to do. Like Sofia probably won't go through a military academy. She'll probably go to college instead. But at the same time, you're not considered, in some ways, not quite as important as your older sibling. So I thought it was great that she had a moment there where they were able to celebrate her. Obviously, there's been a bit of controversy as well, because one of the Spanish officials kissed one of the players on the lips, and so that's become a little bit of a scandal. Obviously, very inappropriate considering the setting, and she said that she didn't appreciate that from him at all. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out perhaps in Spain. But I think Letizia and Sofia handled themselves excellently, and I think they were great representatives of Spain and just super excited to be there. And I think they did definitely give their team a little bit of that royal sparkle to get to victory. So great to see that relationship grow between them. And finally, we'll just see a little bit of message from Prince William and Princess Charlotte as they cheered on the Lionesses.
Lionesses, I want to send you a huge good luck for tomorrow. We're sorry we can't be there in person, but we're so proud of everything you've achieved and the millions you've inspired here and around the world. So go out there tomorrow and really enjoy yourselves.
Good luck, Lionesses.
All right, guys, that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of this royal rundown. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.